A couple of years ago, in 2023,
Wow,
I,
not that long ago.
not that long ago, there were some really big changes that happened for me on a personal and spiritual level. I ended up sitting with DMT. I don't know if you know anything about DMT.
I do.
You do?
I do.
Do you see how we all kind of find
Oh
our
my
tribe?
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been begging to. You just made my year, sister. Okay. Sorry. Please proceed.
Yeah, so I sat with DMT and um there are certain things that happen in your life that rewire your brain and change you forever, and that hands down was the single most influential experience of my life.
Wow.
Um and I can never not talk about it without getting emotional.
Isn't that
But
amazing?
I would say, you know, there are some people that I believe walk around with a certain level of sadness inside of them that nobody ever sees. And it's because, for whatever reason, they don't want other people to ever experience those things. And I think in some way, I was one of those people. But I remember, gosh, life, so many things happen. And as adults, we just kind of carry it and we keep going and we keep going. And I was driving one day and I realized it was a date that a guy that I dated passed away, and it was the anniversary of his death. He died in 2016, and I don't know, it wasn't that, but I think it was a culmination of the realization of a lot of things that has transpired. And I remember I had to pull over because I was just riddled with just grief, you know. And I had called my girlfriend, who was good friends with, well, who was married to his best friend. They were good friends. And I just talked to her. I just told her how I was feeling. And she's like, I want to share something with you. My husband did this journey and it was amazing for him. And I think that it would do wonders for you. And so I would say, up until that point, I was doing, I was drinking, I wouldn't say heavily, but I was drinking a lot more than I had wanted to. And it's something that has always been something that's kind of sat with me for years. And I had no idea why I had these two wolves that was inside of me, you know? And one was very self-destructive. Um, so I took her up on the opportunity. She connected me with a shaman, and I had no idea what I was getting into because I'm a massive control freak. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to do this. It's probably not going to do anything, but I'm going to do
Mm.
this because I'm willing to try anything. All right. So the day comes and this random stranger shows up to my house. Okay. And I just moved to Dallas, so I didn't have anybody that could actually sit with me. So my girlfriend said, you know what? Put your iPad up. I'll be there as a chaperone to be there for you and to kind of oversee everything. Um, so I remember just sitting up and doing my first handshake with DMT. And the only way that I can describe this to somebody who doesn't know anything about this is it's in movies. So in movies, the way that they depict death is that you're going towards the light. And that's exactly what it was. So for some people that don't know what DMT is a chemical that our bodies produce, and it's released when we're born and the day that we die.
Hmm.
And it's called the God molecule because it connects us to the source. So I'm not going to bore you with so many details about it, but let's just say I died that day.
Wow.
I died that day, and I remember sitting with God, and I could hear this voice. It wasn't male or female. It was a genderless, very warm voice. And I'm looking down at my body, and I remember just feeling this wave of just remorse. And I was apologizing
Wow.
to God. And I said, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry I did all those things to myself. I am so sorry that I did not see what a beautiful gift that life was, despite hardships, despite loss. Um, And I just remember feeling so insecure through my life about the way that I looked, um, about not being the best at something, and just beating myself up about those things. And I just remember just feeling so remorseful and apologizing. And just, I remember just waking up and just feeling so incredibly grateful for my life. And it changed everything for me. It changed everything. Like, um, the anger that I held on to, the resentment that I held on to for a myriad of things, just gone.
Washed away.
Washed away. The drinking that I did, the toxic relationships that I carried, gone.
Wow.
Gone. Completely gone. And I remember as I was actually traveling through the tunnel, going towards the light, I remember I was fighting it. I was fighting it so hard. I was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't move. I couldn't move. And I just heard a voice saying, let it go.
Lean into it.
Because the more you fight it, the
Yeah.
worse it is. And I remember letting it go. And I just remember that euphoric feeling of just absolute peace and getting to where God was. And I remember he was telling me it's time to go back. And I was like, I don't want to go back there.
Right.
He's like, I was like, I don't want to go back down there. Like my whole, I didn't like that feeling that I had before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt so grateful. And when I
You had
came out
more
of that,
work to do.
yeah, when I came out of that, one of the first thing that I had to grapple with and deal with was telling my parents that, hey, I was molested when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
this person that did it. And I remember I told my mom first, and I told her because, our relationship was really strained for a long time. And, I was not the favorite. I was definitely the black sheep, at least, with her relationship. And um, I just asked her, I said, Mom, like, what was it that I did that you didn't love me? And, in that moment, she was so vulnerable. And she said, I wanted your dad to love me the way that he loved you. And this is a woman who didn't have her dad growing up, So instead of being so angry with her, I just felt so compassionate, and I just leaned into it, and it's changed our relationship so much. And I think I've realized that through my experiences is that sometimes we focus so much on people doing stuff to us and what they're doing to us instead of trying to figure out what they're saying to us, you know?
Yeah. Uh, So much to, I mean, so many powerful moments there in that story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
that because courageous to step into it in your life, to actually do it, to take that leap, and to take that ride, because it's so worth it.
It is.
But the things that you uh, were told by God, by the universe, by yourself, it was like you were apologizing to God for not appreciating life and the gifts, but then you were also looking for the the trauma that had to be reframed and had to be spoken about
Yeah.
because you're I love this. I love how you told your mother, and all of a sudden you had the why
Hmm.
instead of this mystery and this resentment. That's such a beautiful thing, Crystal. Oh my
And,
goodness.
and not a lot of people get that.
No.
So I feel so grateful for that.
Do you think this may be a silly question because of how you presented the experience and what it was for you? Um, do you think there's another plane out there that lets us access?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's there. It's there for those who seek it. It's there for those who seek it. And I believe that we're going to be seeing more and more people take this walk. And I think it's a necessary step for us to begin to heal collectively, you know?
Yeah, it's an ancient um, method that was almost lost, you know, and we got it again. I know I've heard, and I don't know if this is something I'd recommend, but I've heard, you know, there's you can go in DC and they have it now, like vaped DMT. Did you know that?
Yeah,
And
you
that's not
know,
quite the experience. It's kind of
I would
recreational.
I would also caution people, like, and I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't want people coming for me, but there's certain things that are sacred and
Yeah,
they should be treated as such. And once we start to capitalize on these things, we're going to lose it.
yeah,
So, the toads need to be protected. The tradition needs to be honored. It's an indigenous tradition too. I think that's important that we touch on that too and we honor that.
right.
Um, but there are so many other avenues and methods out there, you know.
Yes,
So, and I will say that it's so nice to be able to have a drink or two and for it to not become a self-loathing episode. Um, it's changed my whole outlook on relationships too. That's a whole nother thing. But I can say I'm happy. I
that's
am happy.
wonderful.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
oh, that's such great. Oh, that's and again, I appreciate you being so open about it because some, you know, it still does have a bit of a stigma out in the
It
world a
does.
little bit, and
It does.
it's almost like, hey, I can't if you have I can tell you about it, but you got to walk that path, and to do so responsibly and with the reverence it deserves is definitely the move.